Hello and welcome to Talk FCB and welcome back here to the channel, guys, for another video. And today we're going to be doing what we always do during international breaks, and that is talking about some potential transfers. We're going to be looking at the January transfer window and also looking ahead to the summer of 2018, where I think we're going to have a really big summer. I think there's a lot of players in the group right now who could possibly see themselves moving on before that time, and also next summer I think we need a good rebuilding job. You know, I think we're definitely going to bring in a big name forward for a lot of money. I think we need to work on the midfield, and I certainly think as well the centre of defence needs to be highlighted, and we need to strengthen that significantly. And for that reason, two of the players that we're going to be discussing in this video are centre-back targets, people who've been linked in the local media over the past few days. As it's international break, there's always a lot of reports going around during this time. There's a lot less news about Barcelona, you know, in terms of results and the team itself, but more about who we're going to bring in. There's a lot of speculation. That's what we're going to be having a look at today. And this is only part one of my transfer videos, guys, because like I say, there's so many players that have been linked to Barcelona of late, and also players that have been mentioned for January and also the summer. I need more than one video to go through them all in a bit of detail. But we are going to start with a player that I think most of you will have heard of. He's one of the most highly regarded young players in world football right now, and it is Matthijs de Ligt, 18 years old, and right now he's actually 18, of course, but he's only just turned 18 just a few months ago. He was 18 back in August, so really he's still a very, very young player. He's already established himself as an Ajax first teamer. He's been very much a constant in their team for the last year or so. He made his official debut for Ajax back in 2016, and he's come through their youth system very, very recently, and he is one of those players that you can just see the potential oozing out of him. He's a centre-back. He's certainly established himself alongside Davinson Sanchez, of course, who in the meantime has gone to Tottenham last summer, and I think he's a player that really does have a really high ceiling in the game. Like I say, he came through Ajax's youth system. He's been a youth product of their academy now for many years. He's been on the scene since he has broken through in 2016. He's gone on to make 39 appearances in total for the Ajax first team, and he was a very big part of the Ajax team that reached the Europa League final last season. They lost in the final, of course, to Manchester United, but he was a really integral part of that team that was so successful last season under Bot, who's now at Dortmund, of course. But I think generally he's a player that is not the finished article. I think there's a lot of people who've spoken about him over the past few weeks, you know, really talking about him in terms of coming to Barcelona. He's not somebody that are coming to Barcelona, play in the first team, play every single game and make no mistakes. By no means is he the finished article, but what he does have is a lot of raw talent, a lot of raw ability, and you can see where he would fit in with our team. You really can, because when you think of Ajax, you think of their style of play, you think of the way they promote their youth, and that has only been highlighted by players like Davinson Sanchez and De Ligt, players that are coming through their youth academy, coming through their system, coming through the Dutch way of playing, and they really do fit in at the big clubs in Europe. And certainly at Barcelona, the style of the centre-back is always to bring the ball out to play, to be calm on the ball, to be composed, and De Ligt ticks all those boxes, and that's why I could certainly see him in a Barcelona shirt. It is very early days, of course, though. He's still just 18 years old. Like I say, there's a lot more that he has to do in his career. There's a lot more things that he has to work on, that he has to improve, that he has to be consistent for a long period of time. But from what you can see with him, the potential to play for a club like Barcelona, to really play for the European elite, is definitely there. He's very comfortable on the ball. He's right-footed. He brings the ball out the back. He's composed. He's got a good range of passing. He's also good in terms of his defensive abilities. You know, he's good in a slide tackle, good, you know, staying on his feet. He can read the game quite well. But of course, as you get older, particularly as a centre-back, you start to understand the game more. You start to have more experience, and that's really important. But I think the good thing with him is that he's been playing now for the Ajax first team for a year or so. You know, he's racked up a lot of games in that time. Like I said, he played in Europe last season, so he's getting more experienced on the higher level, and I think he's a player that could really come in and suit Barcelona and suit our style of play. And another thing as well, like I say, he's right-footed, which obviously alongside Umtiti, who's a left-footed centre-back, I think both of them together, two very good young centre-backs, they could really be the future of our defence moving forward and looking forward to the future. Those two at the heart of our defence, I would feel in a few years' time very comfortable with that, and that is a really good option going forward. In terms of the links that we've had with him, Mundo Deportivo did a piece quite a few days ago now. They had De Ligt on the cover. The Chosen One was actually the title, and basically it's been rumoured that Barcelona really want to make a move for him in the January transfer window. They want to bring him in as soon as possible so he can integrate himself into the team, so he can settle into Barcelona, settle into the style, the way of playing, the way of living. But apparently Ajax are very reluctant to let him go in January. They do not want to see him go. Like I mentioned earlier, they sold Davinson Sanchez in the summer. They haven't really replaced placed him in their team. So they really don't want to let go of another one of their star defenders. They would much rather wait until the summer. They would be happy to offload him then for the right price, and then they can bring in a replacement. But they really don't want to go, down the January route. They'd rather wait until the summer. Ajax apparently are quite happy to sell him in the summer, though. They would want the right fee. I think around 40-50 million euros is what it would take. It was 40 odd for Davinson Sanchez. I wouldn't expect it to be any different for De Ligt. He's certainly a player that would command a high fee simply because he's so young, he's so talented. But like I say, the potential there is absolutely massive. You look at somebody like Manchester City, who paid £50 million for John Stones, a young player, a young developing centre-back. But obviously, as he grows into the style, he fitted Pep's system, and it's worked out very, very well. He does the job that Pep wants, and it works very well in their team. And I think it could be something very, very similar with De Ligt. Is he worth a lot of money right now? Probably not. He's not quite at the level right now that would command that kind of sum. You wouldn't see that paid off immediately, but over the years, as he develops, as he hopefully unlocks that potential that he has, you might see that transfer fee paid back. And if he does perform to his potential, like I say, him alongside Umtiti, you could count on him for over 10 years. It would be such a player that has such a longevity in the game, particularly as a defender. He doesn't particularly rely on pace. He's not a player that's sort of athletic. He reads the game quite well already, and he's certainly a player that would fit into our team very, very well. And I think he's a very, very good target. Whether we'll go after him in the summer, it is yet to be seen. There's not been a lot of concrete news on this one, but I think he is certainly a player that we're tracking, and with very, very good reason. And the second player that I do want to discuss is also a centre-back. This man, though, already plying his trade in La Liga. That is Clement Lenglet. He's currently at Sevilla. He's quite a young player as well, 22 years old, slightly older than De Ligt. He's 6'2", exactly the same height as De Ligt, and he has recently been linked in the other, of course, Catalan paper, Sport, have come out saying that Barcelona have showed an interest in him and are tracking his progress this season in La Liga. He was certainly a name that came into Sevilla. He wasn't that well known. He came in from French club Nancy, around 5 million euros the transfer fee, and he's certainly somebody who this season has been very, very steady. He's been consistent. He's looked very good in Sevilla's team. They haven't been brilliant this season, but he is certainly somebody in their team that has stood out, and I think he's definitely settled well into La Liga, and I think he's the sort of player who Barcelona are looking at. He's a 30 million release clause, so he's not going to break the bank, but it is still quite a big amount of money really for a centre-back. But what I would say about this transfer is Barcelona, like I say, reportedly tracking him. It does really remind me of the summer with Inigo Martinez. It seems like we want to bring in maybe somebody who's a bit experienced in La Liga, somebody who has a bit of potential as well, who isn't too old. Lenglet does definitely tick those boxes. I don't think he'd sort of be the Hollywood centre-back who would come in and take the reins for the years to come, but I think he could be somebody who maybe Barcelona are tracking to maybe come in and play some of the games. Certainly somebody like this season, if Inigo Martinez had been signed in the summer, we certainly would have used him by now. Piqué has been in and out of form, Umtiti needs to be rested at times, Mascherano has had his fair share of games, but Marlon has been injured. Certainly we could definitely do with another centre-back. Maybe would not be the star, but somebody to come in, and if we need them, they're there as cover to strengthen our squad. Lenglet, like I say, has settled in well for Sevilla this season. He's played 10 out of 11 of their league games so far, so he's appeared in nearly every single one of their league games so far this season. He's also played in their Champions League group. He's played 3 games there, scoring 1 goal in the process, and he's sort of assured, he's good on the ball. He's not as good on the ball as De Ligt, though. I think obviously Burrito has tried to bring a passing style of play into Sevilla this season, and they're certainly trying to implement that, but I wouldn't say he's as naturally talented on the ball as De Ligt is, and he's not quite as suited to the style as De Ligt is, so that's an interesting point of view. But he defends very, very well. He's good in the air. He's very, very strong, probably stronger and more physical than De Ligt is, and he wouldn't cost as much money. Is he a good player? Does he have a bigger potential? Probably not. And it's very interesting too that former Barcelona player Nolito has actually come out this week and spoken in some detail about Lenglet playing for Barcelona. He basically said that Lenglet would suit the style of play. He would have the quality to play for a club like Barcelona, and he also said that if he continues at this level and continues improving over the next few years, he could even go on to be one of the best centre-backs in Europe. So very high praise indeed from his teammate Lolito. Lenglet himself was asked about Barca's interest. He, though, remained very coy on it. He said that he hasn't heard much about it, and at the moment he feels like he's playing for a big club in Sevilla, but he did concede that Barcelona themselves, if the interest was there, it would be a very, very big honour indeed. So it's going to be interesting to see how that one develops. Like I say, I don't think he's the star name. I don't think he's the Hollywood signing. He would come in and he would be solid. I think he'd be decent. He would improve on what we already have. You know, you think about Piqué going through a difficult time. I think Mascherano at the end of the season will definitely leave. I think Vermaelen will as well. So we will need to bring in several reinforcements, I think, at the centre-back position. Obviously, Marlon's out on loan right now. He'll probably stay out on loan for another season at Nice. So we are going to have to bring some players in. Whether Lenglet is going to be one of those, we'll have to wait and see. But Sport went on to say that we've basically been tracking him since he was 16 years old. So if that's to be true, we've been tracking him for the last 6 years. So Barcelona will have a very, very good idea as to whether he could come in and succeed. I think Barca right now are very, very happy with the way he's adapted to La Liga since he joined Sevilla, and we'll have to see how he goes for the rest of the season. And from one French player to another, we're going to go on to a much more high-profile signing now, and that, of course, is 26-year-old Antoine Griezmann. And the rumours have definitely intensified. I spoke about him in a video quite a few weeks ago now, talking about the Griezmann interest. There's definitely interest there from Barcelona, but right now in MD Sport and also French papers, they really do believe that Griezmann has become a priority now for Barcelona. Whether it's in January or whether it's in the summer, Barcelona really do want to sign him. He's going to have a 100 million release clause put in his contract in January. That's going to be the case. He's going to be available. Atletico Madrid, I think, are open to selling him. Obviously, the release clause gives them absolutely no power in it. I think Atletico Madrid are grateful for Griezmann. You know, he stayed when they were transfer banned. He didn't leave the club. He didn't leave them in the lurch. You know, he stayed there until they could bring in reinforcements. In January, they are going to be signing Diego Costa. He's going to come straight into the team. He's already been training with them and training next to Griezmann, actually. But it's going to be really interesting in January whether Atletico Madrid want to keep the two of them, play Griezmann and Costa together, or will perhaps, surprisingly, will he be available in January? Will they let him go then? I personally don't think so. I think they want to keep both of them for the duration of the season. Atletico Madrid so far this season have been struggling in the Champions League and also in the league. You know, they've had a few games where they've really not been clicking. Griezmann himself hasn't had the best start of the season. 2 goals and 2 assists so far in the league. He's got a really good goal last night, though, against Wales for France, a really good volley. But I think right now, Barca are very interested. We want to sign a forward in 2018. Suarez, of course, hasn't been at absolute best, and even so, he's getting on in his career. Griezmann, 26, very much experienced in La Liga, very experienced in Europe, one of the most sought-after strikers in Europe by a long way. We definitely want him. Whether we're going to get him, we're going to have to wait and see. Barca reportedly have already met with his entourage. They're very encouraged by what they've been told from Griezmann's people. We're going to have to see whether that's true and whether we really do go for him in January, or are we going to wait until the summer to pay that 100 million release clause. So that's going to be all for this particular video, guys. Like I say, it's going to be difficult to fit it all in one, so there will be more transfer video coming up very soon. We're going to look into a lot more links. You know, the likes of Di Maria, that's been popping back up again. We've been linked to him. Goretzka as well, there's been a lot of links with him. Apparently he'd made his decision to come to Barcelona, but then just a few days ago a German official came out and said that maybe he could be on his way to the Premier League, so there could be some twist there as well. Thiago came out also with some very interesting quotes, so I want to talk about that in a bit more detail. So I'm going to have lots more coming up for you guys in videos to come, but hopefully you did enjoy this video. Let me know what you think down below, guys. What do you think of Ligt, Lenglet, Griezmann? Do you think we should sign any of them? Do you think we should sign all of them? Let me know your thoughts down below. I will see you with more videos very soon, but until then, as always, Vasca el Barça.